Hello, welcome to my channel, Kelly Bear here. This is a mixed bag kind of video. I'm surfing the crimson tide, the crimson wave, and I'm feeling a little I've taken some more painkillers because my previous ones had run out. But it's too warm to use a hot water bottle, and I'm like, but I need the hot water bottle. So I'm sort of trying to suffer through it as best I can. So I'm not feeling at my best, but I did want to get a video done. The one that I was originally going to do, I just don't have the energy for. So you get this. Feel free to not watch this, obviously, if you don't want to, and if you want to stick around, then yeah, let's get into it. So welcome back. So today I've just got I've got a page of like little bullet points of things. So what I do is I have on my notes section on my phone, I have like a running to-do list and checklist that I have for like every day. I have my planner, my paper planner, but most of the stuff I do is run off my phone because it's really easy to sort of delete stuff and add stuff and tick stuff off and what have you on my phone, and I've got it with me pretty much all the time. And I will just also like brain dump notes, ideas about witchcraft, spells, tarot, creative things, quotes, just all sorts of stuff. It's just like I'll just brain dump into my notes. And I had some sort of like tarot-y witchy things written down, and so on my phone it was gonna die, so I can't actually read them off my phone. I've had to plug my phone in over there and write them out so that I can refer to them, because I don't think my phone will last for the video. I do have a couple of decks by me as well. I have a scenic situational deck. What was it I saw my friend Lisa call it recently? Situational, scenic, what was the term that was used to denote like a Smith-Waitley kind of deck? And now I can't remember what that term was because my brain is mush today. And then oh, sorry, it went sliding everywhere. And then I have my Marseille. I have my squid cake Marseille here. But yeah, I just thought I would just grab bits off of this list and just talk about whatever I fancied. The first thing I'm going to talk about is I put out posts across my platforms, my social media platforms, saying next shop drop, just for those who are interested. Shameless self-promotion, because you girls got to eat. I put Sunday the 1st of October. That is happening, or should be happening, but that'll be my the next shop drop, the second shop drop no, not the second. Basically what I mean, I will have a shop drop before that shop drop, because that's a ways. So what I'm doing is next Sunday the 3rd of September, I believe it will be, I will be doing a shop drop, a smaller one than I did last time, because last time was bananas, and there is still stuff in my shop. I've got about 14 or 15 pouches still in there, including my wrap cloth things that people like. There's a couple of those in there. So this will be a smaller one. I've got about 20 items to go in rather than 42. So it's like half the amount, but I still need to get the amount of items in my shop over 30 at all times, as it were, to like get Etsy showing it to other people. So there's that. The 1st of October, I'm hoping, is going to be a limited Halloween collection, and it's going to be a gothic collection. I wanted to do a gothic collection last year because the previous year, I think it was in 2021, I had done like a spoopy Halloween collection in those sort of really fun bright pumpkin orange and that sort of Halloweeny purple and bright green green and all those sorts of like fun Halloweeny colours, sort of kitschy colours, with lots of cute spoopy charms, like funny little ghosties and things like that. This last year I wanted to do a more that was my plan, to do a very gothic themed one, sort of a bit more like the other side of my personality. One side is spoopy, one side is less spoopy maybe. And because I had been dealing with a hand injury and a bunch of other health stuff, I wasn't able to do that. So I put a pin in it and I said I'll do it next year. So that's what I'm doing. I'm hoping that actually this one will be a bit more sort of widely not accessible is not the word I'm looking for, widely appealing just generally to tarot folks, in the sense that yes, it's gothic, but that doesn't necessarily denote Halloween. It does for some folks, but some of us are spooky bees, and we are spooky all year round. But we get extra spooky during Halloween time. So I was inspired. I really wanted to do like a classic, like when I was younger, I went through this phase of only wearing like red, black, and a little bit of white. Very rarely wear white, like little bits of white. And like especially like black and white stripes. And that was like my colour palette for quite a long time, and there's the remnants of that. Some of those items still exist in my wardrobe. And when I got a bit more into like some more rockabilly and gothabilly stuff again, I started to add a bit more like leopard print again, because that's like my default. So I wanted to do like a mostly red, black, and sort of cream, and not cream, and grey, like and maybe white, like a very sort of limited colour palette collection. I did order in some new felt because I was out of a whole bunch of colours, so I ordered in some lovely reds. I ordered in a shade of grey I've never ordered before. It's called silver grey. And I really wanted to I did also order some like classic royal purple and some forest green, because I thought once I get sewing and making stuff I might want to add some other colours. But my preliminary idea is doing like a limited colour palette of like the classic red, black, white and grey, sort of keep it like that. And all the charms that I ordered for it, I just want to show you, because I wasn't intending to show these, but now I've got the box right there because I was logging it into my supplies log database yesterday. So they're still there. So I got these little hand mirrors, little vanity mirrors with the little opal style cabochons. Ooh, I've got like, what have I got, like pen on my hand, of course I have. So those are quite cute, and they're double-sided, so I think I'll do like the cloth spread wraps with those, because I need double-sided charms for those. I got these really cool half face, half human and skull, like half fleshed and half defleshed skull essentially. Come on camera. Oh my goodness, this damn thing. There we go. And then I don't know if you can tell, but there's like a red on the background, so it looks like it's lying in a pool of blood. I did not read the description of these, and they're huge. Anyone who is afraid of moths or butterflies, look away. I'm thinking of my friend Simon at the Hermit's Cave, who does not like moths. So Simon, if you're watching, look away, babe. But these like giant moths, they are so like, they're bigger than most like average charms that I put on my pouches and things. Oh come on camera. But it's got a moon, it's got red bits and stuff. They're quite chunky boys, so I'm thinking they might be cute for like a choker, or I could do a headdress for myself. I might just keep that for myself. I don't know, there's two of those. I got it's so like me in my like early 20s goth, Victorian goth style, like it's giving me like, yeah, late 90s early noughties vibes for me, like a certain era of my life, with these like bat wing dagger heart things with skulls on. I mean, yes, there were so many different ones that I could have got, but I tried to keep it limited. I've got these like fortune hands. They have like the all-seeing eye, or the eye of providence, and then they've got like astrological symbols on the fingers. Don't know how well that's going to show up. You can see the planetary symbols on my fingers. Can you see? Is it planetary or astrological? No, it's astrological. I can see like Taurus and what is it? No, hang on. Yeah, we've got like Saturn. It's hard to tell. And there's a heart on there as well. Didn't notice the heart before. I got anatomical hearts with like red on them. Got red on you. Look how cool! I'm so excited. I'll try to put like maybe what do you call it? Chapters in if I remember, because I know not everyone will be interested in this, but this is part of what I do, like creative projects, and this is gonna be my latest creative project. So I got a bunch of like tarot cards. We've got Fortune, the Moon. Come on. The Moon, Wheel. It's weird that there's like Wheel of Fortune, but then there's a card called Fortune, which isn't technically. Oh, come on, camera. Oh no, it's the World. I thought that said the Wheel. Fuck me, my eyesight, even with the glasses. The Sun. My eyesight is bobbing. I really need to get new glasses, big time. Like it's getting to the point where I'm like, even with my glasses on, I'm holding stuff away and like squinting. It's really bad. Oh, hang on. Fortune, the Sun, the Moon, and the last one is the Star. I got a set of 5. So I thought those would be cute. I don't know if these will be part of the Halloween collection, but I just thought, you know, they're perfect because they're tarot cards for tarot pouches. So whether they turn up in the tarot collection, the Halloween collection, and it will have to be a limited Halloween collection, because again it will only be 3 weeks gap between the shop drops, and I don't want to do too many Halloween things and then them not sell. I've had that issue before where I've made like a bunch of seasonal themed pouches for like Christmas or Halloween, and they haven't necessarily gone out the door. And then I've got these red coffins. You can get these in different colours, but I got red because again I'm doing red. I maybe should have got some black ones, but it doesn't matter. I've got them now. And then I've got some, where's my, they're underneath. I was gonna say I've got a Ouija boards, spirit boards, talking boards. They're quite chunky as well. Oh, I love them. And then I have planchettes as well. I just want a planchette on a choker. I might even just make myself a necklace. Although I don't know, I'm worried that these are nickel and I'm allergic to nickel, so I don't know. Could always coat it with something again. So we have the planchettes. Oh my god, come on. It's with the hello, goodbye, yes and no. Not that it needs to be on the planchette, because the planchette is the thing that moves over all of those words. And then I've got like spiders. Anyone who doesn't like spiders, look away. They're not really the anatomical spiders. They're like sort of little boo-boo spiders. So cute. And I don't mind spiders because they eat the flies. I don't like flies. And then I've got some silver skull and crossbones because I've still got some antique gold skull and crossbones, but I wanted some silver ones. So yeah, that's that. I've got some other like slightly spooky, occulty, like snakes and things that I could tie in. So that's what I'm gonna be playing with. Anyway, that was a whole like thing about, you know, up front there. But yeah, that's what I'm gonna be working on after my shop drops ready for next week. Oh my god, I'm so excited about this one thing though. Look, I made another double pouch with a rainbow. It's so cute, but this time I've stitched it all together with different coloured threads. There's yellow and blue and pink and purple. I still need to make the charm for this one, and then I did like a cute like autumnal themed wrap cloth with like acorns and an oak leaf, and then it's got like a little oak charm, but I'm waiting for some jump rings in the same colour as the charm, so I'll show that another time, or you can see it on my social media when it goes up. So yeah, just up front, that's what I've been up to work-wise. I've been working on next weekend's shop drop, and planning my Halloween collection, and that's been really fun because I love spooky season. I'm really excited for autumn, although because of the El Nino, which has been causing devastation across so many parts of the world, it does mean it's probably going to skew because we've had a very mild and wet summer. I think we've had the coldest summer on record here in the UK, at least here in London it has been, and I haven't minded so much, but I know that other people are struggling elsewhere, so it's sort of you know, whereas last year we were really struggling with record-breaking heat waves, which were horrendous. And it's yeah, we've sort of, I have a feeling, is what I'm trying to say, is that I think that autumn is going to be very mild this year, because that tends to be what happens. We end up getting a bit of a summer into September, and sometimes a warm October, which I'm not a fan of, because okay, September, it's still a little warm, it's still a little sunny, but you know, come October, I just want some crisp breezes. I want to see leaves turning beautiful colours and falling. I want to be able to wear my stompy boots and drink my hot chocolates. And some Octobers these days, you can't do that because climate change. So, though I'm very aware that me complaining about that is like the last of people, like other people's problems when it comes to the weather. So really, I should just can it, shouldn't I? But all that is to say, I love autumn. It is my favourite time of the year. I absolutely love spooky season. I already, like, come this time of year already, we are like, all through August, I've started to like up how many spooky films I watch, and like horror films, and then it gets more and more, and then by October I generally try to watch a horror film a day. And then there's like tried and true classics that I watch every single year, or almost every single year, just like I have Christmas films. Does anyone else do that? So if so, what are your Halloween films? So for me, my Halloween films are Rocky Horror Picture Show, Hocus Pocus, and now I'll probably add Hocus Pocus 2 to that as well. The Craft, sometimes I used to watch The Craft a lot back in the day because I had it on video or I taped it off the TV, and that used to be a classic for me. And then I didn't watch it for ages, and then I watched it again last year or the year before for the first time in a long time, and that was fun. And The Lost Boys is one that I watch regularly. Ghostbusters. What else? Trying to think, I can't think off the top of my head now. And then of course there's like all the classics like Halloween. Oh, Halloween Kills has gone on Netflix and I haven't seen that yet, so I'll probably watch Halloween. I'm saving that for October. I'm looking forward to that. I'm just dunking my Biscoff cream biscuit. I'm just going to pause because you don't need to see me stuffing my face. Really nice. Oh, I'm doing like a good bicky dunk. So what else? Okay, I started talking about autumn, and autumn wasn't even. Oh, it's because I was talking about Halloween. But anyway, I am like a stereotypical witch, as in like I lose my damn mind when it gets to like autumn. I've got here A Year in the Wildwood. How am I getting on with my Year in the Wildwood? I have it stacked. You'll often see it on my dressing table if you look in the background. This is usually on there with my Wildwood tarot, and then I have. There's usually a card for the Year in the Wildwood. There'll be a card that sort of encompasses the whole 3-month period. It's done in like quarters, 3 months sections for the year. And the current card for the season, as it were, is the World Tree, which is the world in a classic tarot deck. And then the card that I'll be working with for that day or whatever, couple of days, is also out on my altar, and then the rest of the deck just stays in here in the order that it is set up in the Year in the Wildwood book, so that it's just all good to go. And then I use the guidebook that comes with the deck, and then the extra deck book that you could get, Wild Magic. This goes a little bit more into each of the courts and the majors, but not the minors, so if you do get this book, be warned. I mean, I don't know how much I really get out of this extra book. You know, the guidebook to this is okay. And then, yeah, there's the actual book itself by Alison Cross, which is A Year in the Wildwood, which just goes through the whole deck throughout a year. I am very behind. I'm probably about 6 or 7 weeks behind, but I'm doing it in at my own pace. There are times when I've sort of caught up with it or fallen behind, or caught up with it and fallen behind. But I find that if I feel like I have to do it, if I'm making myself feel like I have to do it, I don't want to do it, and I find there's that resistance. So I'm just allowing myself to do it in my own time. So I started it on Imbolc this year, and obviously the plan is for it to be finished by Imbolc next year, but I'm not holding myself to that. I'll finish it when I finish it, and I think that is the best approach for me. And yes, this has like a certain seasonal aspect where they're talking about solstices and equinoxes and certain sabbats and things, but for me, I'm just more going with what the core exercise or message is for each card, you know. And there's a mixture of things. There'll be like path workings and meditations, there'll be journaling prompts, there'll just be things to consider for the day to sort of meditate upon, you know. It's quite nice that it's not just like the great work by, what's her name, which is I can't remember her name, I'm looking up there because the book's up there, which is like a just very journal prompting. There's not much sort of change up of what you're doing each day, and I found it a bit much, honestly, which is why I didn't complete it. So yeah, you know, Wildwood. What else? I've been thinking more about resilience, because that is my word of the year, and I sort of think it's funny that my card for the year is temperance. And I remember reading in the Fifth Spirit Tarot by Charlie Claire Burgess, their guidebook that they wrote for that deck, and in the entry for temperance, they talk about to temper a blade, to make it stronger. Temperance is in the original meaning, or one of the other meanings of temperance, and I really liked that, because when I think a lot of the times when we think of the temperance card, we're thinking of moderation and balance, and maybe sometimes if we're thinking in a more esoteric or spiritual sense, we're thinking more about the alchemy of the soul, the philosopher's stone, that kind of side of things, you know, internal alchemy and temperance. To create something new, or to to elevate yourself, to achieve enlightenment, or what have you. But yeah, there's also this side of temperance, which is to temper, to make something stronger, to forge something and to temper it. And I think that actually goes really nicely with my word for the year, which is resilience, right? To temper something, to make it stronger so that it is resilient. And I was like, yeah, that's funny that. That was one of the things I've been thinking about. But I was also trying to think about, because I've done videos on resilience, talking about what does it mean to be resilient. I've also done a video called Further Musings on Resilience, and I'll try to remember to, I'll put a note to link those down below. So if you're interested in that, you can go see those. But I'm thinking more about what exactly are the qualities of being resilient. It's all very well talking about what does it mean to be resilient and how can we become more resilient and what have you, but when we think of a resilient person, what are the qualities that they have? What are they? What are the qualities that they embody, or the traits that they have? And so I had been putting in my phone a list of them, and I just thought I'd share them, because this is, I guess, what I think and feel free to add your own if you have your own thoughts about this, that I might have, you know, I'm clearly not going to have the same ideas as everyone else, or there might be something I just haven't thought of, but let me know if you have any ideas down in the comments below. So for me, resilience, someone who's like really resilient would need, or has, a level of adaptability, because one thing that is the only things that are guaranteed in life are change and death, and death is a change, so I count death within that. So the only thing, as I want to say, the only thing that is guaranteed in life is change. Not even taxes, because people say death and taxes, but plenty of people use loopholes to avoid those, and fuck those people. So it's not death and taxes, it's change, and death is a type of change. So adaptability is important, and this is something I find I struggle with to an extent, because I think of, you know, probable neurodivergence, which makes me like sort of melt down a bit at things when things change suddenly, or things are thrust upon me, or sudden news is put upon me. I might have a bit of a wobble, or a freak out, or a meltdown, but I find that once that's out of my system, either later in the day or the next day, I'm very good at sort of just absorbing that and sort of then moving around, adapting around it. And it's like, oh, actually, like, my initial response is probably born out of the way my brain is wired, and, you know, how it works, but actually me as a person is actually quite good. And once that's out of the way, of sort of absorbing and taking that on and adapting around it. Something that goes hand in hand with that, I think, is resourcefulness, right? Being a resourceful person. And that could be in many ways, that could be in many capacities. Resourcefulness doesn't have to mean with regards to like nuts and bolts physical things. It can be resourceful digitally, it could be resourceful in the way that you your emotional life or your spiritual life, you know. But being sort of resourceful across the board is probably quite helpful to being resilient. And something that I feel that ties into that then, which does relate to sort of the nuts and bolts thing, is practicality, the actual hands-on stuff of the hands-on side of resourcefulness. They are slightly different, but I feel like they go hand in hand. Being practical, I think, can make you resilient in a way that if you can do things for yourself. And I guess now that I'm thinking about it, autodidactism is probably something that can help you be resilient, as in that you're able to teach yourself things, learn new things. Autodidactism, I think, is something that is a good thing if you're going to be resilient. And this is the thing, right? Talking about, you know, practicality, resourcefulness, autodidactism does sort of rely on a certain amount of sometimes privilege or an ability or able-bodiedness to an extent, maybe, depending on what area we're looking at, what it is we're trying to do, because, you know, and I count myself in that. I'm a chronically ill person that has issues with mobility sometimes, and chronic pain, and chronic sort of deep in the bone, like chronic fatigue. Like, trying to explain to people what like medical fatigue is, it's not I'm a bit tired, it's like it's a different kind of thing, and it's trying to get that across to people, because people go, oh, you feel a bit tired sometimes. Me too. And I'm like, not really the same. But yeah, so there are times when I do have to be adaptable to my body. Like, there are times I have to live within the way that my body is responding or behaving, and I have to adapt to that. I have to adapt my schedule to that. I have to adapt my workload. I have to adapt. Like, you know, there'll be times where my spouse is the one that's going to have to do the majority of the chores and the cooking and walking Nommy and stuff, because I might not physically be able to, you know. So we sort of have to be quite adaptable. I think that's a way of being resilient. And I've always beaten myself up about not being able to do as much as I would like to do as it is, but, you know, I'm over a decade in on this, and I think I'm actually probably better at adapting than I realise. Do I push myself too much? Yes. But when my body does give out on me and I don't have a choice, I guess I don't really have a choice but to adapt, right? Because I physically cannot do certain things. So yeah, but practicality, I think. Autodidactism. Thriftiness, which to me is a bit different to resourcefulness, because resourcefulness, again, can be applied to many different areas, whereas thriftiness to me is a very specific kind of area of that. Again, they kind of go hand in hand. But yeah, being thrifty and being a little frugal, I think, is very good for resilience. And this probably comes from my upbringing, growing up working poor, working class, in a single parent household. You know, things were difficult, let's just put it that way. And so you have to learn a certain amount of thriftiness and frugalness to survive. And even that has gone through into my 20s. You know, there was a period between 2004 and 2012, so for 8 years, I did not have a holiday. I had 2 instances where I went away for 2 nights. I had 2 nights away in Brighton in 2009 with my sister and my mum and my aunt, and they helped me pay for that. And I had 2 nights away in Brighton again in 2010, in the August of 2010, with my spouse. We hadn't even been dating a year, and we went to stay with some of their friends in Brighton who lived there, Dom and Verity. and we spent 2 nights there at Nest, and we stayed at their house. So I don't think 2 nights, 2 weekends away can really count as like a proper holiday in the space of 8 years. It was a really long time before I got a chance to actually go anywhere for more than like 2 nights for a proper holiday where I had to take time off work. Would take time off work because I had to use my holiday leave, but I would like have staycations, as in I would stay in London and I would try and do what I could. But things were so tight because I wasn't paid enough. It was really difficult to save and if I was saving, I couldn't really then save to go on holiday. It would be, yeah, it was really, really tricky, because then there were certain things I probably could have given up, like maybe going out sometimes at the weekend or going to the cinema or things, but then it was a trade-off of between trying to actually enjoy my life week to week, month to month, or like just really denying myself stuff for weeks and months on end. And just and my workplace was really, really tough. You don't like working in the fashion industry is really hardcore, and it was already stressful and depressing enough a lot of the time. So it just wasn't. It was really, really difficult. All that is to say, and even to this day, there's a certain amount of thriftiness and frugalness that I have to sort of what am I talking about? Anyway. Wow, this is a really video. I didn't even think I was going to get 30 minutes in, but here we are. Another trait to be resilient, I think, are boundaries. Having boundaries with people. I'm good with this, except when it comes to my family, because when I'm with my family, I sort of resort back to me as a kid, who is very much not who I am anymore at all. In fact, it wasn't even really who I was as a kid. I just got put in that box and was treated like I was that kind of person, whereas inside this person was trying to get out, and I kind of resort to that kid again, and I find it really difficult, even to the point where they shortened my name to Kel, which I fucking hate, but I can't really tell them that because they would do it more to wind me up. Just little things like that. But yeah, like otherwise I'm pretty good with boundaries, I think. And I think to be resilient, you need to have boundaries. I never used to be good with boundaries. I used to be real people pleaser, yes to everything. I do want to be helpful, and I like to be of service to people, but boundaries. And I think that came along with also being chronically ill and learning that I have to have boundaries, otherwise I'm bedridden and I need to just fucking So sometimes you just need to say no. Another thing I think is useful if you're going to build resilience or to be resilient is hope and optimism. If you don't have hope or some form of optimism, or see the glass half full, it's really hard to keep going. And it's really difficult for me to be a sort of a hopeful, optimistic person, because I'm the kind of person that likes to look at all of the information available, and a lot of the time things don't look good. Like, for example, with climate change, it doesn't look good. And it's very visibly, the thing is this year especially, it's very visibly, outwardly, you can see there is finally starting to be really obvious signs that things are not great climate wise, and it's really hard to be optimistic and hopeful, because it's frightening. I just don't know what the next 10, 20, 25 years are going to bring, but if the last few years have been anything to go by, it's very concerning. But yeah, I feel like you need to try to at least have little pockets of hope and optimism. And I've always been a bit of a pessimistic person. Again, I don't know if it's the way that my brain's wired. It's because I have anxiety. I'm hypervigilant. It's probably a trauma response. So I need to make sure I've thought through every single possibility that could go wrong or that's bad, so that I can be prepared for if it does, not when it does. I'm not a when things go wrong, it's an if things go wrong. And I think people, that's the thing, right? People see that as pessimistic, but I see that as realistic. So another example I'll give is when I've had several breast cancer scares over the last decade or so. The one that I had at the end of 2019 was a really, really scary one. for a number of reasons. If you want to see that, there's a video about my breast cancer scare going back to the beginning of 2020 where I posted about it and give the whole rigmarole of what the hell went down. But I remember everyone I spoke to, my mum, my sister, my aunt, my nan, my dad, my friends, they're like, you're going to be fine, you'll be fine, don't worry, it's not cancer, don't worry, it's not cancer, you're going to be fine, don't worry. Don't tell an anxious person not to worry, especially if they are having procedures like biopsies and things to test for what the doctors suggest could possibly actually be cancer. So for the way I saw it was, okay, it might not be cancer, I might be fine, but also I might not be, it might be cancer, or and if it is, then there are various stages of stages of how bad that could be. There's like, is it like early stages and of certain kind, or is it like, you know what I mean? Anyway, so, and my mum, my dad, everyone was like, oh, you're being so pessimistic, don't think like that. And what they didn't realize was them saying that to me, and I actually ended up having words with a couple, like my mum and a couple of other people, just saying like, you need to stop telling me to stop worrying and to stop being negative. I'm not being negative, I'm being realistic. And the way I tried to explain it to them is, if I get it in my head that I am okay and I'm gonna be fine and it's not cancer, and then I get the news that it is, that's going to be a really difficult thing to deal with. And my mum was like, oh, but then you just deal with whatever you need to have to deal with when it comes, right? You cross that bridge when you get to it. That's not the way my brain works. That's not the way I function. Being a hypervigilant sort of person with anxiety, I've just always been the kind of human who has to know all of the possibilities so that I can prepare myself, so that if I did sit down in that chair and they said it is cancer, at least I would have been mentally prepared to an extent, right? But they still don't think they got it. But so, you know what, I'm realizing as I'm recording this, that what some people see as me being pessimistic is me just being realistic and trying to face things as they are or could be, and trying to prepare myself as much as possible in case that happens. That's a bit of a revelation, isn't it? Another thing that I think helps, is a trait of someone who is resilient, is imagination. Having a good imagination. I think imagination has helped get people through very difficult times, whether they are a prisoner of war. I'm giving very extreme examples here. A prisoner of war, or someone who has had a horrible accident and they are recovering in hospital, and then maybe further recovering at home, and they're maybe stuck in bed a lot of the time, and they can't really move about too much. And I know what that's like, because I have been bedridden before for periods of time in my life, in that very bed there. And there were times where, a lot of the time I was unconscious because all I could do was sleep because I was exhausted. But there were times where I just couldn't sleep, and it didn't matter whether I slept or not. I was exhausted and everything hurt, and I couldn't do anything. I couldn't read. I couldn't follow a film or a TV show. I couldn't listen to a podcast. I couldn't. It was too mentally exhausting as well, and it would just wipe me out, and then I would, fall asleep again. So I had to sort of try. My imagination helped me. I could just lay there in bed and sort of daydream a little bit, and try not to tax my brain too much. It was like, my imagination helped save me. There were times where I was obviously just in a really bad way, and I was just ruminating over like how it just felt like this was it, this is my life. And that is something I'm constantly aware is something that I could slide back into, which is terrifying, or quite frankly. And it's but imagination, and I think that it helps with resilience, or resilience requires imagination to a certain extent. Does that make sense? I think patience is an important part of resilience. Being able to wait things out, or to wait things through. I am not a patient person. I am trying. I am really trying, because I'm really not. I've gotten better as I've gotten older, but I'm still not a patient person. I'm just going to drink some more tea because it's going to go cold, and I'm just going to pause. Oh boy, them painkillers are kicking in now. But yeah, what did I say? Patience. I'm not a patient person. Meow. I've written another one down here, but I don't think that really, I've put that in the wrong section. And the final thing, and possibly one of the most important things I think for resilience just in day-to-day life, is community. It takes a village. I remember reading a couple of months ago, there's a person that is a bushcraft and survivalist expert, and they're not a prepper, they're more like they tweet a lot about climate change and stuff. I can't remember the account's name now, but he was talking about you know, a lot of the preppers and the doomsdayers get everything wrong when they talk about things going awry with climate change and stuff. And what they do is they load up on ammunition, they build bunkers or cabins in the wood, and they store loads of food and what have you. But what they don't realise is the most important thing you need in a situation like that is community, which also means, and I think I spoke about this recently on another video, or maybe in a live chat, my live chat I did a few weeks ago, that if you learn a few skills that would be helpful in the case of society collapsing, climate change, all that, you know, so things like learning basic electrics, basic plumbing, learning bushcraft and survival skills, carpentry, sewing, cooking, foraging, herbalism, all those kinds of things that could come in handy, right? It's a bit difficult to get really good at all of those, but that's where community comes in, right? You have someone who's really good at like cooking, and I don't know, they're really good at woodwork, and then you've got someone who knows first aid and herbalism, and they can work with that hand in hand, and then you've got someone who's really good at like knitting and crocheting and sewing and can like mend and repair and make clothes and things like that. Someone's really good at gardening and they can grow food, and I don't know, they know bushcraft and survival skills on how to filter water and all that stuff. And then you rely on each other, you build community. And this guy said, like, as soon as anyone's got a gun involved, like, he's like, he wouldn't even bother with a gun, because as soon as a gun's involved, you're already like fucked, probably, you know what I mean? And he's talking about an American who now lives in the UK. I think it'd be more of an issue if I lived in the US, but here in the UK maybe less so. But it's really interesting. And then there's a someone who has a blog, it's called OK Doomer, and she put up a blog post, I think it was yesterday, and it was saying you won't survive. I think it's entitled You Won't Survive, and again it talks about like doomsday folks and like preppers that are all, and like people that are into bushcraft and survival, which I love. I find it really interesting. Bushcraft and survival skills and knowing how to start fires and foraging and all that stuff is something that I find fascinating, and I don't really get an opportunity to do enough of living where I live, but I try to do a little bit when I am somewhere like Scotland, for example, or when I'm on holiday in Scotland. And she says that these people won't survive. Even the people that go off grid, that learn to like grow their own food and all that, she actually says that it doesn't matter how prepared you are or how much community you even have or mutual aid, because you can't if there are wildfires, you can't, hunker down in your bunker. Oh, hunker in your bunker, because there's wildfires. If there's flash floods or landslides, anything like that, earthquakes, tsunami, which they call tsunamis, dry dust bowl situations where you're having severe droughts. It doesn't even matter how prepared you are, you actually you probably won't survive that, because it's just so inhospitable. You need to try and get somewhere that is more hospitable. But I've gone off piste, surprisingly for me, but ultimately you're going to do better if you have a little bit of a community. If you have community, rather than the lone wolf view of things that we see in films, and is a very sort of like cis-het mask patriarchal way of like, grr, I have bunker, I have foods, I have weapons, and they're like just going to wait it out. And actually that OK Doomer blog post does say that, you know, if you do have a store of food and a bunker and things like that, that might see you through like a short-term disaster. It might see you through maybe a hurricane. It might see you through I don't know, a short span of time, something going on, I don't know. But long term, it's not going to help. It's like a short, like, you know, you have a bug out bag or whatever. It's a short-term solution, right? So it might see you through, I don't know, like a big mass power outage that goes on for a long period of time or what have you. So yeah, I do have like a whole section here that is another thing that I've been thinking about and making notes on for a few weeks. But this video is already 45 minutes long pretty much, so I'm just gonna leave it there. This is a really weird video, but let me know if you enjoyed it. I didn't even pick up the tarot cards. It's not really tarot-y, it's more just sort of a, I guess, a little bit of a work and creative project update, and a bit of a philosophical waffle on resilience for the third time I think this year. So, but that's what's been in my mind. And my brain is starting to dribble out of my ears because my painkillers are really kicking in, and I need to might have a wee lay down, a bit of a lie down, chill out, and yeah, I've got a D&D game tomorrow all day, and then because I'm filming on a Saturday for a change, and then it's a bank holiday Monday, which means nothing to me because I'm going to have to work on Monday because I've got a shop drop on the Sunday. So, but I do have a D&D game in the evening. And we're starting earlier because it's a bank holiday, and everyone's like, we can start earlier, and I'm like, I still have to work, so maybe could we start at 6:30 instead of 4:30? Usually we start about 7, 7:30, but they're like 6:30 because 4:30 I'm still going to be working at 4:30, at least that's the plan. Anyway, wow, so I'm just waffling on at you. Anyway, let me know what you think are the traits that would make you or someone make, what are the traits of a thunder, 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 thundercats. Can you hear that? There, we've got thunderstorms expected, and they're just coming right on time for my little lay down with the rain. It's a good day when it rains for me because I love the rain so much. So I've stopped to think, do I want to go for a walk in it? Maybe, I don't know. I love me some rain walks. Anyway, yeah, let me know what you think makes a resilient poison. Did I miss anything off, or do you disagree with me? That's fine, let me know in the comments below. Let's have a discussion. And yeah, don't forget, if you are looking for some pouches or cloths, spread cloth pouches for your tarot and oracle decks, I have some in my shop right now. All the links will be down below, and I will have another shop drop coming next week on Sunday the 3rd of September as well. So if you don't see anything you like that's in there at the moment, there'll be a whole bunch of other new stuff coming soon. So thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you listening, taking the time to listen, and to comment as well if you comment. And yeah, I hope wherever you are safe, you are happy, you are healthy, and yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Ciao.